Patrick Millsaps with us this morning. Patrick, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
How does this compare with your Newt campaign?
Well, doesn't get any saner. The one thing that we had, I think, a little bit easier in 2012 than this year is we had one more single state after South Carolina. We got to go right to Florida before before it just went diffuse. I mean, forget Nevada caucuses, who cares? I mean, March 1st is a big day, and if you don't have real money and a real staff to cover this, I mean, you've got to moneyball this thing at this point. I mean, this is a true numbers game, because before March 15th, it's all going to be proportional. The biggest primary, I think, is going to be Texas, because if Ted Cruz can't just knock it out of the park and get the majority of those things, he's out. Yeah. He's out. So
this next week is like critical, and going into March 1st is March 1st is critical.
I wouldn't have even campaigned in Nevada. I would have stayed in these SEC states, because I mean there's 595 delegates at total, and again, you're asking about Kasich and Carson. They simply aren't going to have the money. When you're doing one state at a time, I mean, you can put your whole team there, you can crisscross, even South Carolina, which is a big state. Once you get to multiple states, you know, we had to do an extra campaign bus.
Right.
That's
you can't be at all
stuff.
places.
You can't do that.
The way that Kasich is presenting to the public, though, I think is garnering some momentum. So it clearly needs the money to do the Super Tuesday, but he's still getting momentum in the general public, it seems like.
If I was him, I would get a satellite truck and a green screen, and then just do local interviews in every network that he could, as opposed to trying to do all these rallies, because he will run out of money by tomorrow.
But he's better in a rally than he is on TV.
Fair point.
And that's why he's tried to do. You saw that exchange with that young man where he gave him a hug. That's very effective, but he needs dozens and dozens and dozens of those moments across states, to your point.
There's not enough time.
Right, exactly.
And you know what's missing in this? Surrogates. I mean, for a John Kasich who's out there for you, you can't get into all these states, so obviously you need good surrogates, you need people to speak for you. Those people are also pitchmen for donors. Follow the money. I'm a big fan of following the money in politics. That lets you have boots on the ground. That lets you get a ground game going, lets you do ads, lets you do door-to-door. I mean, if you don't have this, the practicality is you can't win.
We were always broke, and we're always behind the ball. One of the cheaper things that we did, inexpensive things we did, we got Chuck Norris to do a robocall for us, and it became viral. It went viral. People were like saving it. So you get somebody like that. We raised a bunch of money on that, and robocalls are cheap. But Kasich to play, Carson to play are going to have to do kind of the guerrilla politics.
So do you think either one of them will drop out before March 1st? Or no, they're gonna see it through to Super Tuesday, probably.
You know, I mean, at this point, you have to wonder why they're running. I mean, there's got to be another purpose. I mean, they're not even in the realm of brokered convention, which I had to try to sell.
Yeah. Well, I had John Kasich on Sunday, and I said to him, look, what's the justification for staying in, and what about a VP position? He said, absolutely not. No, I think he could be a good VP.
Nobody runs for VP, and that's kind of the rule. Even if they're running for VP, they don't say it.
Yeah.
But, you know, can I just weigh in on the Kasich thing? The Rust Belt. How do we get to 270 votes and a Republican win? He's got a good, strong base in Ohio. He's got the Michigan, kind of the western Pennsylvania. So Kasich is more important to this run and the run to 270 than even a Carson. And I like Dr. Carson, but what does he bring in form of electoral votes?
But I think one way or the other, Rubio is going to be on this ticket. I mean, because while you've got Hispanic, Florida, swing state, and while endorsements usually don't matter, that picture of him and Senator Scott and Nikki Haley, that plays. That's going to play all over the country, because that just puts the Democratic narrative about being the old white man party to bed. So I think Rubio is going to have a slot.
I want to know about Trump's money spend, because again, largely self-funding. He's gotten some contributions from folks. But in terms of how much more money does he need to spend in these southern states, and is it spending it? Is he there spending it? Because again, the playbook's been thrown out for everybody but him.
The one thing he's not doing is listening to these idiots consultants in D.C. I mean, he was exactly right about the Bushes and how much TV they spent. Well, look, here's the big inside baseball joke. Here's the inside. when you're the one selling that TV, you get a legal kickback. So of course they're going to try to sell you a bunch of TV. Trump's smarter than that. So he's, you know, all that money that Bush wasted on TV, I mean, literally Trump has what you'd think is unlimited funds, and yet he spent the least amount of money. So I think whoever's doing his media campaign is smart enough.
But what about his ground game in those southern states?
That's the question.
Because Cruz, he started building his ground game in these SEC states middle of last year. And people were still talking about it even during the football season, right? What they were doing with Snapchat during the football games.
But the Cruz has had a bad few weeks where he's starting to really kind of get these Hillary Clinton comparisons.